There we go. Ain't she cute? Ain't she fucking cute? Ain't she goddamn adorable? Okay, there we go. Let's go, chat. Let's go with the questions. Why use Halt to pull Ryan upwards? Why is it good? It's disorienting as fuck for the Reinhardt. It can pull him, like, if you imagine... Let me get my pencil. Let's say Reinhardt is this rectangle, okay? And the team is this circle behind him. If you lift the Reinhardt up, guess what you can do? You can shoot the circle. Now it looks like a butthole. I have a vivid imagination. Yeah, you can just shoot through under him. It's just disorienting for the Reinhardt. It's also just a good way, like, even if you don't get the Reinhardt, if you pull a couple of other people up there, then you can get some shots on them. It's annoying as fuck for the Reinhardt. If you just pull him back, he just keeps his barrier up and it doesn't really do anything. So he doesn't give a shit about it. So by pulling him up, you've slowed him down a lot more. You editing. Yeah, I know, me editing. Valley Gabriel, so that's why I think a sim on the first point is super useful, because she allows you to lose a fight but reset with a teleporter. The problem is, like, if you don't manage to hold it for that long, but I do agree, Symmetra on first point on 2CP is actually pretty strong. It's also, part of why Sombra is actually so good on 2CP defenses as well, is because when you're going in for that big sledgehammer, Sombra basically pulls the rug out from under the enemy team, and so it makes it very hard to get that sledgehammer sort of fight, because you know, if you're starting a fight and then suddenly you can't use any abilities and you have no barriers, you're probably going to lose the fight, and it gives the enemy team this window of opportunity where they can get some kills, and then they can just snowball it and win the fight off that, and so you never get a chance to use all the ultimates. The way that teams have been playing around it is they've been trying to get all 6, bait the 6 ultimates, bait the EMP, and then go in super hard afterwards. It's very tricky to do though, because EMP builds up so quickly. But I do agree Symmetra first point and 2CP is very good. Just try and make sure you swap off it. Not to say that Symmetra is bad on the second point of 2CP, it's actually kind of interesting. She does work very well, because having a shield generator makes it that much harder for the enemy team to win, but you just get so vulnerable to diving, and you get so vulnerable to just people being aggressive on your single support, or if you're running triple support, then you lose a lot of long range damage, so it gets a bit iffy that way. But she can work, but it's not ideal, I would say, on the second point. Best Orisa skin, I actually really like this one. So a lot of the Orisa skins, the problem I have with them is that they get rid of the face. So if you look at the skins, okay, so we've got like the classic and we've got the recolors. Orisa actually has really nice recolors. Like, they're very, very pretty. I'd say she has probably some of the best recolors. I'd say Sombra's might be nicer, but these are actually really nice looking. I really like this skin, the epic skin. Just because you still get the face, but you get the cool looking, like, camo. Looks really nice. The problem I have with this one is, like, you lose the facial expressions, and I think those are like the most charming part of Orisa. Then you have the beetle skins. I'm so-so on these. I think they're okay. They're not amazing. They don't blow me away. I think this one's definitely better than Dynastine. Megasoma, I think, looks cooler, just because you have like the mottling, which looks nicer. Carbon fiber looks okay. Like, these skins I think look alright, but I don't know. I think I just prefer the original design to these. And then Null Sector, again, you lose the face, which I think is a big problem. So I'd just run with this one if I was running an Orisa skin. Looks good. I think it looks nice. Where it sit. Let's bring you guys back in. So when is the best time to use Orisa over another tank choice? I'd say, strictly speaking, there isn't one. At the moment, I would say that Reinhardt does the job better on offense and does the job better on defense as well. Orisa could work if they're running triple tank, maybe. Especially maybe with the Roadhog nerf coming in. She'll be a bit stronger against Roadhog, I imagine. But still, it's kind of icky to me. I think maybe against triple tank she works better than Reinhardt, because you just deal that much damage and you actually have like ways to leverage your damage output onto tanks as Orisa. Whereas Reinhardt might not do it quite so well. You can run it in conjunction with a Reinhardt, and instead of having a Zarya or, you know, Winston or something like that, you'd run Orisa instead. That could work, maybe. But I'd say, like, against dive, it's a no-no. On attack, I'd say Reinhardt is just better because he's more flexible. On defense, I still prefer the Reinhardt. There's just so many ways, especially good players can manage it, pushing around the Orisa and just bullying past her barriers and just kind of ignoring her. It's a problem when a tank can just be moved around, because tanks shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to do that to a tank, and that's kind of a problem. When it's the best, as a Rhine main, Halt messes me up so often. It's good to use. Yeah, Halt is really, really good. If you take one thing from this lesson, like the thousand of you who watch Q&A sessions, the one thing you take away from this is use Halt. Please use Halt. It's amazing. It's insanely how awful that ability is. Use it. It's so good. Do you think the Zarya will see an increase in pro matches when Hog is nerfed, or will we see more Orisa and D.Va? We definitely won't see Orisa. D.Va's much more likely. D.Va's definitely going to come in the pro meta. I'd say Roadhog's job is just mostly shifting. He's definitely, like, there's a partial buff on him because his head size is being reduced, and I think a lot of people don't account for that. I'll give a shout out to Overwatch Central. They did a video with a pro player from You Guys Get Paid called Smex, who is a Roadhog, pretty much a Roadhog main, talking about the changes on the PTR. And he outlined it quite nicely and framed it quite nicely in saying that like, people seem to overlook this Tracer, this Roadhog buff where his head size has been reduced, therefore it's harder for Tracer to build pulse bombs on him. Not hugely slow, but it's enough to be a little bit trickier, and also he's just a lot better at sort of just spamming down the Tracer and the Genji, so it's possible that Roadhog might still work through it. And I mean, I think a lot of people are just overreacting in my mind. I think the days of the Harblue Roadhog are over. Like, I think the days of Harblue style Roadhog play where you were just flanking non-stop and just appearing behind the enemy team, hook, kill, dead, run off, half paint can, hook, kill, dead, run off, half paint can. That gameplay is dead. I think that gameplay is very, very dead. But the Roadhog that stands more with his team, that just hooks people, pulls them out of position, gets a shot in, and the rest of the team kills the target, that's definitely still there. Roadhog spamming away at just targets and blowing tanks up, definitely still there. Roadhog is really fucking good against Winston, Reinhardt, lesser Orisa, the armor chips it away. Good against D.Va still, very good against D.Va still, because you have the 5 shots instead of 4, and that's actually a very big deal because you now have more shots just to plan around. You can try and eat stuff up. And another thing that Smex mentioned as well is that Roadhog has another partial buff against Tracer, and then you have 5 shots and a hook, rather than before you had 4 shots and a hook. Tracer's blinks and recall could generally play around all 4 of your shots and the hook. So you generally blink, you know, Roadhog shoots, blink, Roadhog shoots, blink, Roadhog shoots, blink, Roadhog hooks, blink, because one of them's come off cooldown, and then Roadhog hooks, recall to dodge it or whatever. Like, you have enough tools to play around it. Now that there's 5, it's a bit trickier for the Tracer. So I don't think Roadhog is completely dead. I think a lot of people are overreacting slightly on it, but I think Roadhog's definitely changed, and he's going to be much harder to play, which is honestly a good thing. Orisa barrier is a projectile, but D.Va can't eat it. Correct. And that's good, because if D.Va could eat it, then D.Va would literally hard counter Orisa and she'd never be played. You pick Orisa, the enemy team picks D.Va, you have to swap off Orisa. Like, that isn't fun, that isn't sensible, that's daft. Same reason why Translocator I don't think can be eaten as well. Also, it would feel very fiddly if, as Sombra, you threw the Translocator and you couldn't use it. It would just feel very strange. Can you report a high-ranked player for doing the placements for a friend? Yes, you can. Account sharing is a bannable offense, actually. Heavily frowned upon. What that person's doing is technically boosting, which is also heavily frowned upon and I believe against the terms of service, so you can report them. Absolutely. And to me, the idea of doing that is insane. You shouldn't do that, basically. You think it's better to say fortify for when you're going to get CC'd, or use it offensively between barriers to push and body block shots? With the change, like, before I would agree with you, before the buffs to Orisa. Post the buffs to Orisa, I don't think the barriers are down long enough. Like, it's 8 seconds now, it's up extremely fast. And as such, I think that you have enough time between the barriers. Well, you don't have enough time between the barriers to take meaningful damage, therefore you don't have to use it unless the barrier is smashed down by damage, or unless you are getting surrounded, then you can use it as a deterrent. Definitely use it more as like a bait, and definitely keep a hold of it for as long as you can until you actually need it, because if you use it without, like let's say I'm playing Roadhog against an Orisa, and I see the Orisa's behind a barrier and then she fortifies, I'm just going to wait, then walk forward, hook, kill. Like, that's how I think of it. If she doesn't fortify, I can't do that, because there's a danger I walk forward, hook, fortify, can't do anything, she shoots me dead. Like, I can't afford to take the risk of getting out of position knowing that she has a counter to me. So the second you use that fortify, you've given something up, and therefore it's a bad idea. General tank question. If a team is not on high ground, it's here on the first point on defense, should you drop? Ideally, the first thing you should do is just tell the team, hey guys, just get behind me. Like, You should always default to starting in standard position, and if you don't know where the standard position is, then just look at where most of your team is and then play around that. The danger then is like if you just stay there stubbornly, you go, no, I'm not moving, and the rest of your team stays on the low ground, and you'll just fucking lose. Like there's no way around it. I think you do have to drop at a point, but then my advice would be to drop and then try and scoop the team back. Try and pull back a little bit and try and get them into a better position, because where they were defending was trash. Like, you cannot afford to hold literally in the archway. The enemy team has too many advantages, there's too many sightlines, there's too much potential for something to just come around a corner and kill someone. Bad. Don't be there. You mentioned one of Orisa's weaknesses being a lack of burst damage. Isn't that also a problem with D.Va or Winston? The thing with D.Va and Winston is their consistent damage is a lot better than Orisa's. So, sure, it is a weakness that D.Va and Winston have, but D.Va and Winston also have a better way to hunt down targets. So, let's say that there is a Soldier 76 on 50 hit points at mid-range. Mid-range being about 20 meters away. If I'm playing Orisa, all I can try and do is fire a Halt at him and hold down the machine gun button and hope that kills him. As Winston, I can jump on him and just hold down left mouse button. As D.Va, I can rocket to him, hold down left mouse button. If I can't do those things, then sure, he gets away. But as Orisa, all I can do is walk at him. He sprints away. Fuck. I lose. Like, you have none of this finishing power, none of the power to confirm a kill, because you cannot actively hunt people down, you cannot actively pursue people, and you have no reliable way of getting a certain volume of damage on them, aside from putting a Halt out there and hoping that the couple of hits that your gun does finishes the target. So that's the weakness that Orisa has. You have no finishing power at all there. Reinhardt, similar problem really. Like, Reinhardt only has Fire Strike to try and do it with, and Fire Strike's a bit of a crapshoot. So yeah, sure, Reinhardt has that weakness as well, but Reinhardt makes up for it by just being a better tank overall. Watch your next video that you see Ryan shamelessly fucking advertising. Can you run Orisa as an off-tank with Reinhardt? High damage, less defensibility, CC ability, and damage speed sounds like a textbook off-tank. Why isn't she used as such? It's because she has a lot of overlaps with Reinhardt that you don't necessarily need. Reinhardt Orisa actually does work quite well. I will actually say it's viable. The problem is that the other off-tanks give you more tools. So D.Va is just a lot better at stopping a lot of the spammier damage. She's more flexible. So let's say if they're running a Pharah, D.Va works better than Orisa because D.Va can just catch the rockets from whatever direction they're coming from and can turn and adapt to deal with that. If they have a Tracer Genji, she can turn and block all the shots. With Orisa, you're turning around, you're putting a barrier down, and then Tracer and Genji move, or Pharah just flies to a different angle and gets the shots in. You can't do anything about the Pharah, you can't stop it. Zarya can deal a lot of damage, has a better ultimate, has the ability to save targets that are ranging out further afield, has the ability to do all this sort of stuff. Her damage output is much higher overall, and she can just hunt down and kill things aggressively. She can play around the map a lot more. She's not likely to just get exploded like Orisa can be because she's so big and doesn't have shields to regenerate her. So yeah, there's weaknesses there, and Roadhog just kills people. That's pretty good, pretty useful. So Orisa kind of has problems like that. Use Halt to drop people in the pit, Nepal, Ilios. That's one of the few instances where Orisa gets picked, and sometimes she even gets picked at pro level for that. So if you're curious, Nepal Sanctum, which is the indoor map. If you think about Sanctum, let's draw it. It's actually relatively easy to draw. So this is the death pit. Let's shade this in. I wish I had a fill tool on this. I don't. This is the death pit. This is the point. Got the stairs here. And then you have like the catwalk here with the pillars like this. Pillar, 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 pillar. Stairs here, stairs here. And you usually have like the first fight that goes over this. If you as Orisa just stand here and fire a Halt, and let's not use that color. Let's use blue. If you fire a Halt across like this, like at any point, if you get someone, you can generally pull them into the pit. So Orisa can work quite nicely here. You can also kind of do the same with Roadhog by just like hooking and then turning and trying to push them into the pit like that, or just coming in from an odd angle. You can generally do it. And also just on well, you just put it over the pit and pull people in. Like, gimmicky stuff like that works very nicely. But overall, still kind of weak. As well as the main reason I started playing Orisa in the first place. It's so fun to throw people into. Well, yeah, if like on those two maps, I don't get angry if I see someone pick Orisa because I understand why, and it is pretty good. Does the Zarya Hanzo combo at DPS Zenyatta's ultimate? No, not on its own. Zenyatta Transcendence will survive it, but if you start throwing in extra damage, then it might just be enough to push it over the edge. Dragon Strike does not deal 300 DPS though. You need extra damage from somewhere. When will be sooner? Orisa play in Apex, Korean play. When will we see sooner? Orisa. I imagine it's when will we see. Unless I'm missing up. There's a player called Sooner. I don't think there is. There's a player called Soon. He's a Tracer player and shouldn't play it. If I've completely blanked on a Korean player's name called Sooner, then I need to catch up on the Korean scene a little bit. I watch some Apex, but I don't watch a huge volume of it, because it's usually when I'm in bed and I try and catch up on VODs during the day. When she becomes stronger, then sure. But for now, there's just no good reason, especially with the dive meta coming in. Like, I've literally seen Koreans now say shit like, you know, we don't fear teams that play Reinhardt. Like, playing Orisa is literally playing a more immobile version of Reinhardt. Does not work against dive comps. I'd say Genji has a favorable matchup against Orisa. Tracer has a favorable matchup against Orisa. So, now is not the time you'll see Orisa. Do you have a second tank with a barrier, Ryan plus Orisa? Is it worth using Orisa's barrier to block healing? Yeah, in theory. Like, if you can isolate an Ana, sure, do it. But I'd still say you would be better off served. If you're trying to do shit like that, you'll be better off served playing a Winston. Inventor of Hawaiian pizza has died. Feels bad, man. Apparently he was Greek. I like Hawaiian pizza. Any more questions? No more questions? Looks like there's no more questions. People really don't have many questions about Orisa because nobody plays her because she's not very good. Which is a bit of a feels bad, man, because hey, she's a cool looking hero. Don't get me wrong. She's a cool looking hero. She has a cool, interesting kit. But to fix her, like, let's talk about fixing Orisa while we have a little bit of time left over then. Because to me, the problem with Orisa is more based around the fact that she has no mobility. Like, you are so stuck in when you make a decision that any mobility from the enemy team just completely ruins you. And so when you get out into the open, you are just going to be in trouble. And until that problem gets fixed, it's sort of like the Reaper problem, where until Reaper gets a mid-range solution, it's totally irrelevant what they change on him. Because she does quite a lot of damage. Like, these are 200 hit point targets. You see how quickly they die when you headshot them. Her damage output is fine. Her damage output is good. I think her damage output suits the character. Her ability to shred down barriers is quite frankly disturbing. But until you can do something where you put this down, and then you scoop it up, and then you can put it down somewhere else a little bit quicker, I don't think she has any place in Overwatch at the moment. Right, and that's sort of a problem. Here we go. Got a couple more. Do you feel that Orisa would be picked up more if she was less of a jack of all trades? Feels like a bunch of ideas were thrown together without much thought. I'd say that's being a little bit unfair to Blizzard. Like, I see people saying, like, oh, well, the Graviton, you know, she's got a bit of everyone's ability. She's got the Graviton surge, she's got a barrier that's deployable, so it's a bit like Winston, she's a bit like Zarya, but I'd say that's a little bit unfair. Like, the barrier, like, a deployable barrier isn't necessarily a bad thing to have. And the ability to influence other people's mobility is kind of interesting. I'd say the ultimate is, like, the ultimate's really cool, the ultimate's really powerful. I just think that you will never see her, or never get to use it, because there's no reason to pick Orisa. Her inflexibility is just the death of her, and until that is fixed, she will be shit, basically. There's no way around it. And the problem is, if they... You know, I have this concern about Reaper as well, where, in my mind, to make Reaper balance with his current kit and his current abilities, they would have to make him so good at doing close range damage and doing things at close range, that the second they fix his inability to do things at, you know, at any time aside from being super close to targets,
target eliminated.
When that buff comes in, he's going to be overpowered. Like, the second you give him a tool outside of the close range, he's going to feel extremely powerful. And so and they need to be careful with it, because there is nothing wrong with a kit having intentional and clear weaknesses. Like, that's absolutely part of the design, but when the weaknesses are so big that the character itself does not function, that's a problem. And that's where you sort of get the Z tier characters of Overwatch. And if I had to name, you know, who are the Z tier, you know, the characters where if you see them picked in the game, you go, fuck. I would say, especially, like, this is more true for high level than low level, and I would say, like, Diamond and above. Reaper, Z tier. Mei, I would also probably say Z tier, except for point stalling. Junkrat, Z tier. And Orisa, Z tier. So every other character is at least higher than that. When I say Z tier, I mean there is literally no reason to pick these characters. Mei has an out in that she will work when you're trying to stall on a point, or you have, like, you know, they're pushing a point in overtime, you can throw out a blizzard and contest the point like that. So I'd say that Mei sort of scrapes maybe out of the Z tier, but otherwise they're in there. And it's not to say that these characters are, I don't know, that I hate these characters, oh, they're so shit. It's just they need something else in their kit to make them work. A lot of people would say, you know, why isn't Hanzo in Z tier? And the reason is this: a good Hanzo will be extremely functional. A good Hanzo will get kills very, very quickly. The problem with Hanzo is that he is extremely hard to use and it's very, very difficult to be reliable with him. But he does have the potential to do a huge amount of work, therefore he is not in Z tier. Sombra? Where is Sombra? Sombra is well above Z tier now. I think people have gotten good enough at tracking with Sombra as well that she is way more functional. She's definitely not high tier. At least for competitive play. Like, in competitive play, she's not high tier. In pro level play, she's in a very interesting place, and I think she will start steadily creeping in. Partially because EMP is fucking overpowered. And I think Blizzard need to have a very real moment to think about, are they happy with EMP being up every single fight? Because if they're not happy with that situation, then they need to change how Sombra fundamentally works. As it is right now, EMP builds far too quickly. And as such, Sombra is literally just a walking EMP bot with occasional left-click damage. She is a shitty tracer that can press Q every fight and disable everything and win you team fights immediately. And let you win 5 versus 6 fights, basically. Just overpowered. This used to be an Orisa CTM. Yeah, you have time left over, it could be more general. Otherwise, I think that's about it. If the lack of Orisa questions was an ice cream flavor, what would it be? A disappointing one. Can you inform people that her Bongo and EMP can be hacked? Can be EMP'd and hacked. Guys, Bongo can be EMP'd and hacked. In the unlikely event you are running a game with a Sombra on one side and a Orisa on the other, if you do this, it disables the Bongo. I didn't know it could be right-click hacked. I know it can be EMP'd. It's very depressing when it happens. If it's behind a barrier and you EMP, I don't think the EMP goes through the barrier though, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, make sure you try and EMP. It's worth EMPing it, because Bongo is fucking ridiculous. Bongo is insane. I cannot emphasize enough, it's a 50% damage increase on everyone. You've given everyone a fucking nano boost. It's good, it's very good. Right, okay, I think that'll do for now. I think that'll about cover it up. So you're saying Reaper, Mei, Orisa, and Junkrat are Big Brother contestants. I'd say that they need a buff of some kind. Basically. No, it's tweak heroes by giving a buff enough. Maybe nerf EMP a little and decrease the spray to get damage. That would be my thought. It wouldn't even necessarily be a full nerf, but just decrease the amount that she gains off of health packs, I think, would go a long way to do it. And then tighten the spray on her left click. That way, if you're dealing reliable and consistent damage, which you'll be able to do more of if you buff her damage output, then you will get EMP still relatively quickly, and it'll be a relatively fast building EMP. The way she is now, you're basically, your aim is to hack as many health packs as you can, wait for your team to use them all up, get about 600 to 800 healing. I think it's like 800 healing is what you need. Not even that, if you were just like running in and then gunning a Roadhog in the back, then you EMP and you win a fight. Like, it's not interesting. And it makes Sombra kind of boring, in my mind. I think the buff to, like, reducing the noise she makes when coming out of stealth, definitely very nice. I think that's actually gone a long way to helping her out a bit. Right, anyway, I said we were about done, so let's go. Blizzard said over and over that aren't going to buff her damage. Never say never. Never say never. What about Bastion? Bastion has a function. The reason why Bastion isn't picked but isn't Z tier, I'd say, is that he still works. Like, if you use him properly, he will still kill shit. Reaper, Junkrat, Mei, and Orisa won't. And they won't perform their function. Bastion is different in that Bastion can still get a lot of kills and a lot of work done. He's just very two-dimensional. Anyway, thank you guys for watching to the end. To get your footage reviewed, of course, send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. Include in the title the rank that you're at and the hero that you're playing. Just to let me know. Also, let me know if you're a Twitch subscriber or not. Twitch subscribers get a little bit of extra priority. This guy wasn't a Twitch sub, but I picked out his game because it looked interesting and I wanted to talk about Orisa a little bit, so hey, it makes sense. There is a Sombra bug that if you emote on sales, don't talk. No, that's been fixed. Or that's fixed on PTR, I think, or it's been fixed on live. That has been fixed, though. So it's no longer a problem. Otherwise, guys, thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for sending in all the footage if you have done. And yeah, be sure to come join us live on stream as well. 10 PM British time on Fridays and Saturdays. So that's 11 o'clock in Central Europe. And it's about 2 o'clock in California, 2 PM in California. So you can work it out from there, I'm sure. It's about 9 AM or something in Australia. But Australia has a lot of time zones, and that might just be one of them. Otherwise, guys, thank you for watching to the end. It's been a blast. Hopefully you've learned something about Orisa. And I'll see you guys next time. Toodles. And they're gone. And they're gone. 9 AM in New Zealand.